David to turn the live stream on. Yeah. Somebody did ask me if they were recording it, and I said, I think so. Okay. I'm going to trust that it's okay to start. They will. They will indeed. So you're gonna be involved. So we're gonna talk about it. Okay. All right. If I can. Yes, I tested it. There we go. It's on. Okay. We'll go ahead and get people in here. If they did. So we'll go ahead and start. Um, they will. Oh, I'm just going to go ahead and start. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Come on in. And I have the ability to, I'm a literacy tutor for Augustine Literacy, and they used to talk about skinnying up the lessons if you were running short on time. So we have the potential to skinny up the lesson for today. So welcome. If I haven't met you directly, I am Joan. I'm your supply priest for the month of December, and I love Advent. Advent and Lent are my two favorite church seasons of the year. They're just amazing and wonderful in what they represent. So I thought, when I was trying to think about what to do for an adult program, one night in the middle of the night when I woke up and couldn't go back to sleep, this is what occurred to me. So I took it that this is what I was supposed to do. So we're going to take a look at Advent expressed in poetry, art, and music. And there will be some give and take, some conversation, and also some activity for each of the 3 weeks. Today we're going to specifically look at poetry. But whoops, there we go. And get you, I have to remember to change both of these. All right, so Advent, you already know all this, but just to kind of point these things out, the themes that we talk about in Advent, and this is not all-inclusive, there's probably some that you have, I don't have up here, but a time of reflectiveness. Is it penitential? Yes, but for me, not. It's more reflective than penitential, if that makes sense. Waiting with anticipation, all those images I had in the sermon from Frederick Buechner of just waiting for the curtain to rise, the conductor's baton before you hear that first note of music. My own image is waiting out on a snow-crested hillside with all those animals gathered around me in a clear sky, and that sound that only happens when there's snow covering the ground, or the lack of sound, maybe it is. And you're waiting and you don't know exactly what's going to happen, but you've got this quiet, reverent anticipation. So that's what I think of as Advent. A hopefulness, an expectant stillness, a pregnancy, literally with Mary, but also just with us. And then this sense of hiddenness, that something is about to be revealed. And of course, redemption. And as I said, at least in the children's homily, redemption for all of creation, all of us, not just humankind, but for everybody. So are there things that you think about with Advent that I haven't listed or mentioned? Are there themes that you... Mm-hmm. Right. Or grieving, Yeah. Or all the people, I do think frequently during these noisy holidays about all the people who, around the world, people in Sudan and people in Ukraine and Gaza and all these places that, whether or not they celebrate Christianity and Christmas, how troubled and how dangerous it is while we are given the luxury of being here and thoughtful about it. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Yeah. Great. Yeah. How wonderful. What a great thing to do during then. But thank you. All right. It's Advent as you already know if you try to practice it, it's very countercultural. Everything around us, well, as soon as the Halloween candy was out of the stores, everything was, Christmas. And we probably all have things filling up our calendar very quickly in December about people to visit or to party, what gifts we have to get, got to send the cards out, yada, yada. So it's very countercultural to be quiet and still in our culture. So we're going to talk about the power of poetry today. And again, a lot of what I am saying seem to be self-evident, but poetry can express, and I don't profess to be, I should have given a disclaimer at the beginning. So poetry, art, and music, I'm not a poet. I'm not necessarily an artist, although I sort of like to be, and I don't know a lot about music. So I'm speaking out of the top of my hat for a lot of this, but I think poetry is something that we can all experience at some level, even if it's Ogden Nash in those little short things that he used to have that were very cute. But poetry can express what we're thinking or feeling like no other medium can. It sharpens our senses to everything around us and in us. Poet Muriel Rukeyser said, as a poet, she said, you breathe in the experience and you breathe out the poetry, which is really an interesting way of thinking about that. When you start to think about it, there's so many things that we actually hear that are poetic or that we see that are poetic. So that idea of breathing in, and I always say, breathe in the breath of God and breathe out the poetry. Yeah. Oh, wow. I love that. Cool. What a great way to... Okay. Neat. So when you're doing that, you can think about this, about breathing in, if you say something with that, and then breathing out the poetry with it. Poetry, because it's words, it uses carefully selected language and pauses also to help us see the world anew through the eyes and the heart and the ears of a poet. And I read somewhere recently, it was a poet that if I can remember who it was, you would all recognize the name, but they said it took them like 7 years to finish this one poem because they just couldn't figure out this one word that needed to be there, what was the right thing to put in there. And so they just left it and they'd come back to it, and a year or two later they'd come back to it. But then they were able to feel like it was complete when they finally found that right word. Poetry brings language to life. It improves our listening skills because we don't just hear it, we tend to seek meaning in poetry. It can invoke emotional responses in us, and it can tell us vital truths in a very powerful way. It can help us play with words and images, and sometimes even help us create new words. One of the people that I follow on Instagram is, I think he's British. His name is Brian Bilston, B-I-L, you're nodding your head, is that right? B-I-L-S-T-I-N-O-N. And I love his poems. They're funny, but they're also very poignant sometimes. And he makes them about, if I had a bowl of applesauce here, he could write a poem about it. And they're just, I don't know, you can tell them more later about it, but it's just, he's one of the poets. I also follow David White and Mary Oliver for their poetry. Poetry is exploration of ourselves, our world, our beliefs, our community. And so that's kind of what we're going to do as we go through this today. All right. This is a poem by Emily Dickinson, and she numbered it number 1309. That's the title. So I'm going to read it, and then I will ask for somebody else. We'll pause for a moment or two, and then we're going to ask for somebody else in a different voice to read it as well. The infinite, a sudden guest, has been assumed to be, sorry, I typed it in wrong, but assumed to be. But how can that stupendous come, which never went away? So sit with that for a moment. Read it as many times as you'd like. somebody volunteer to read it again? Anybody? Please.
The infinite, a sudden guest has been assumed to be, but how can that stupendous come which never went away?
Thank you. What word or phrase gets your attention in this poem? Mm-hmm.
To use this for
Oh.
when I have a
Oh,
special
okay.
line.
I should probably be repeating what you say. Sorry.
Well, but
I didn't think
we can
about that.
just say unless they're intimidated.
All right, so we had what word gets your, or phrase gets your attention? We had assumed, we had stupendous. What else back there?
I'll throw up Chuck. I won't throw up Chuck, but guest, the capitalization of guest, that choice that she
Yeah.
made, that I could talk a lot about hospitality, but that idea that the guest is a unknown yet is a proper noun,
Right,
right? So the choice she made there.
right. Thank you. What else? Yeah, right here. Oh, sorry. Hang on just a second. Look at the mic.
Yeah, what struck me is the word went. I never thought about God having gone
Right.
to be able to return.
Well, and she's questioning whether God has left, right? Which
Right.
never went away.
Never
Yeah,
went.
Yeah. I like that. Thank you. And up here in the front row. Right here.
No, it's to you.
Oh, the word infinite, what do they mean by that in this sense, in this context?
Which is also capitalized like guest, right? Yeah, the infinite. A sudden guest.
So I want,
Careful.
excuse me. So of course, Emily Dickinson was a Christian, and when I see this, I think of God, right? So the infinite being God, and God never went away. So how can we? But how can that stupendous come which never went away? So I don't think she's asking a question. I think she's making a statement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. So that's a good segue, Chuck. Thank you. What does this ever so brief poem make you think about? Wait for the mic.
My assumptions that God only comes to me in moments of either desperation, or most often desperation, or exhilaration, or gratitude, but that God's always there.
Right. Whether we acknowledge that or not. Yeah. Yeah, right here.
I feel like it exemplifies like the shock and question that comes with being among such a stupendous being.
Oh, I like that. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm going to go back to guest. A sudden guest is an inconvenience so often, right? That they show up at your door and I'm not prepared and what do I do? And I don't want to go too deep into the hospitality question, but there's a lot there, all right, in how we prepare for a guest to be there, and then the recognition that this guest is always there, always present. But yeah, just that inconvenient piece
Right.
that
Did
we
I put-
assume it's inconvenient. It's going to pop up.
Right.
Yeah.
Did I put the clean hand towels in the guest bath? Yeah. Yeah. I think was there one more back in the back? Somebody else? Yeah.
I was just going to say that it reminds me of the mystery of God, because, she's wondering something that can't really be known, the conflict between somebody being infinite and a guest. And, there's a lot of in the Bible about, God's coming to be with us, and yet he's always with us. And it's just sort of a mystery.
It's that both and, isn't it? It's both things can be true. Yeah. What for you is the main image of the poem? Or is there an image? I mean, the image could be the question mark.
The image might be a household gathering
Mm,
at a special time with special friends.
right. Like many of us are part of during the holiday season, right? Anybody else? Any image? I think from your comments, certainly this image of a guest is present. And to me, there's also an image of extending an invitation that's on me, that is put on me. So here's a question. What is the writer's attitude? What is Miss Dickinson's attitude towards this subject, do you think? Chuck said she's a Christian, so we know that.
Sometimes we have questions, but we're afraid to ask them. We're not supposed to ask questions.
Yeah, the first thing you said was she's a Christian with questions, and did you say we're not?
We're not supposed to question
Right.
things.
Well, I hereby give you permission to question anything. For me, that's what faith is about, is asking those questions to be able to go deeper. And faith and doubt are on the same side of the coin, or maybe both sides of it, or something like that. So yeah, but thank you, I appreciate that. Is there any connection from this poem to any other poem or hymn or something that you associate with Advent? Does it bring up anything else for you?
I keep thinking about the, walk to Emmaus question of walking along the path with someone and, lamenting that Christ is gone.
Right.
And then you sit down and you're like, oh, you were walking the whole time with us. Yeah, so
I love that.
I see a lot of parallels with that.
Yeah, I hadn't ever thought about that, but I love that. Yeah. Anybody else? Any other connections? So Emily Dickinson lived from 1830 to 1886, just 56 short years. And infinite, I wanted to wait until you thought about this poem to say this, but infinite is perhaps Dickinson's favorite word for the divine. And for her, infinite is congruent, the same as, with beauty and is always present. So God has not gone away. God is always present. God is in all. Panentheism, not pantheism. Pantheism is everything is God, but the little n in the middle, panentheism, means that God is in all, including in our hearts. And so whether or not we invite, God is present. It's our awareness, perhaps, and that's when we acknowledge or invite or whatever. Any other last comments about this poem?
I would comment that I'm not opposed to poetry, but I'm not a fan. Ever since high school,
Yes.
but that was truly reinforced in college for me. But I do value poetry, and even the Psalms I'm beginning to value more and more. But this is so packed with meaning, and I so appreciate the opportunity to hear other people's perspective this morning that really helped me unpack this. I'm going to revisit this later, but I think this has just been a great experience for me personally.
Cool, thank you. I'm kind of with you, and sorry for the younger ears present. Don't pay attention to what I'm about to say, but one of my totally unproven theories is if it's a book that's read for English class, it's not a book worth reading. So sorry, if you're an English teacher, I'm sorry. But I just hated tearing things apart and looking for the denouement and all of that. So, all right, next poem. To listen, to look. This is by a poet, Anne Weems, who's relatively contemporary. Sorry, I thought I did. There we go. Thank you. Her lifespan, 1934 to 2016, so she passed away just 9 years ago. She was in Nashville, Tennessee, and a Presbyterian elder. And she has a book. I forgot to write down the name of I have it with me. All this pile of stuff here. Kneeling in Bethlehem. And it's a pretty cool book to peruse this time of year, so I invite you to do that. So Can I ask for a volunteer to read this the first time? And then we'll pause. Thank you, right there in the plaid shirt. And then we'll have somebody else read it a second time.
Is it all sewn up, my life? Is it at this point so predictable, so orderly, so neat, so arranged, so right, that I don't have time or space for listening for the rustle of angels' wings, or running to stables to see a baby? Could this be what he meant when he said, "Listen, those who have ears to hear. Look, those who have eyes to see. O God, give me the humbleness of those shepherds who saw in the cold December darkness the coming of light, the advent of love."
Thank you. And we'll sit with that for just a moment, and then we'll ask for another volunteer. Who would like to read it the second time? All right, back row.
Is it all sewn up, my life? Is it at this point so predictable, so orderly, so neat, so arranged, so right, that I don't have time or space for listening for the rustle of angels' wings, or running to the stables to see a baby? Could this be what he meant when he said, "Listen, those who have ears to hear. Look, those who have eyes to see. O God, give me the humbleness of those shepherds who saw in the cold December darkness of the coming light, the advent of love."
Thank you. Okay. Who is the speaker in this poem, and what kind of person are they? Who are they speaking to? And there's no right or wrong answers, so you can say whatever's. This is not English class. So.
I can never let silence live in class. Sorry. Yeah, I think it's a self-reflection. I think she's talking to herself, but clearly us as well, or she wouldn't have written it down. But
Right.
Yeah, speaking to herself.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? Back row. Chuck, back row.
I feel like it's talking about her life is so organized and perfect that there's like no room for anything that's wrong, that she can there's nothing extraordinary about any of her days anymore, even though they're perfect.
Wow. Yeah. And that, to me, connects with the comments from the previous poem about that unexpected guest that suddenly rings your doorbell. I don't have time for this. But yeah, I've got everything planned out. Yeah, thank you. Anybody else?
I think it's wonderful to hear young people read this, and as I'm an old person reading this and thinking, we have the same questions.
Right. I love that.
It is.
That's cool. Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah, right behind you there.
I read this as a kind of message to us, so like a call of action of sorts that, you know, somebody always has it worse. Like you could have your life so well and everything that, you know, you've at a point stopped paying attention to, you know, like God, or like stopped at least like listening to him, to the point where like you're ignorant to those around you. And I think it's like a call to us to do better, to like listen. And yeah,
Right.
listen those who have ears to hear, and look who those who have eyes to see.
Right. I love that. Thank you. A call to action.
I love the last two lines.
Mm-hmm. The little prayer portion of it.
Yes. Oh
What
God, give me the humbleness of those shepherds who saw in the cold December darkness the coming of light, the advent of love. That's just beautiful.
It is
Absolutely
beautiful.
beautiful.
Is there something in particular about that imagery that speaks to you?
Just the simpleness of it, but you know how profound it is. I mean, this is everything that it's all about.
Right, right. Thank you, thank you. What is the mood of this poem? Oh, I'm sorry, did you want to? We'll go back to that.
This sort of goes with both.
Okay.
And thinking back to the first poem, which talked about assumptions.
Right.
And I think the assumption in this one is that successful people, people who are in the right, have everything all put together.
Right.
And she's challenging us to challenge those assumptions.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Or maybe even challenging what it really might mean to have all our stuff together. What does that really mean? Does it mean what we think it means? But yeah, thank you. So yeah, any thoughts about the mood of this poem? How does it make you feel? What's your gut response to this poem?
Obviously, it's reflective, but I think it also carries an element of craving for something, seeking something more.
That's a great word, craving. Thank you. Anybody else?
That seeking might be the last line there, the coming of light, the advent of love, so that there is a search for pureness and for goodness.
Right. I love that. Last question about this poem. What words, if any, seem to be especially chosen for this poem? It may not be, but is there something that jumps out at you that you think that she chose particularly? Yeah.
I think in the first line, sewn up, there's a double meaning there. I think there's everything's all stitched up and everything's good, but the first thing that popped on my head was the practice of sewing up a corpse in a bag.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You know, that it's all sewn up, it's done.
Put that to rest.
Is it closed? Is it put to rest?
Yeah, wow. That's a pretty strong image. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Anybody else? Yeah.
I think mine is a lot less metaphorical. I really appreciate the use of the word humbleness. How it's kind of calling to the average person.
We don't hear that word very often, do we, in normal converse?
Oh, I was also thinking of sewn up, but I was thinking of like over. Like that's the end of her life. It's all going to be the same from there because it's so perfect and the same every day.
Right. I've got it. I've got the mold for it, and all I have to do is keep living into that. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. All right. All right. Last poem for us to look at. So this is by a young man named Clint Smith. He's a Davidson graduate. He's also a best-selling author about how the word is passed. He's African American, but this book is called Above Ground, and it's all poems, and a lot of them are about while his wife is pregnant with their first child, or during that child's first year, and then as a second child is in the making. And so I think when I think about Advent, we often focus on Mary, and the first art piece that we'll use next week for art is Mary. But what about Joseph? What was going on in this man? He was pretty trusting. In his dream, he was told to trust that, Mary's doing the right thing, stick with her. But I wonder how he feels about his wife's pregnancy. Is there someone who would like to read this for us the first time? And then again, we'll pause and read it a second time. Who would like to read through this?
The doctor says you are there, even though we cannot hear you. And you know what they say about the tree falling in the forest. And I know I have never heard a tree I could not see. But I've seen trees I could not hear, little one. They tell me you are half the size of a fingernail, and when I hear that, I look down at my cuticles and imagine you are sitting there, telling me, Dad, it's going to be okay. There's nothing to worry about. There is joy in being a father to a mystery. There is grace in observing the tulip and knowing it will not bud before your eyes, little one. You are my daily reminder that you do not go to a garden to watch the flowers grow. You go to give thanks for what has already bloomed.
Just pause for a moment.
Changing my mind about poetry.
All right, sit with that for just a second. And who would like to read it the second time?
The doctor says you are there even though we cannot hear you. And you know what they say about the tree falling in the forest. And I know I have never heard a tree I could not see. But I have seen trees I could not hear, little one. They tell me you are half the size of a fingernail. And when I hear that, I look down at my cuticles and imagine you sitting there telling me, Dad, it's going to be okay. There is nothing to worry about. There is joy in being a father to a mystery. There is grace in observing the the tulip, and knowing that it will not bud before your eyes, little one. You are my daily reminder that you do not go to a garden to watch the flowers grow. You go to give thanks for what has already bloomed.
Thank you. What or who did this poem make you think about?